I'm Sid, and these are my best friends. My mom, Kim, my dad, Ty, my sister, Maddie, and our salty dog, Stella. We started our adventure refitting a Lagoon 450 before taking on the massive project of resurrecting a sunken 2021 Leopard 50. It's been one heck of a ride, but we're on this adventure to die with memories, not dreams, and live dauntless.
All right, before we get started on this, I want to cover just a couple things. One, all the tools that I use and links to find those and all that stuff will be down in a description down below. And number two, your mounting hardware is going to be different than mine, but what you're going to see me using is actually a pedestal for a boat seat and a riser. That was what was available at my local marine supply, so that's what we ended up using. If I couldn't have found that, I probably would have hired a local fabricator or I'd have welded something up myself. But anything that meets the requirements of being the highest thing on your mast and that will securely attach the lightning prevention system to your mast, well, is what you want to use. All right, so now let's get into it. All right, I have drilled and tapped this hole. I've got two more, and that's going to be the base plate for our new lightning prevention system. And I'm lining this up on top of the mast, like so. And I've got 3 holes that I'm going to be mounting this in. And I'm just tapping into the top of the mast so I can put the hardware in to bolt this down. The top of this mast has got to be 1/2 inch thick, solid aluminum plate, and they've given us some mounting points, but it's never really exactly what you need except for maybe the Windex. So anyway, I'm going to show you how to tap a hole. You drill a hole with the corresponding size drill bit for the tap, and usually tap sets will tell you how big that is. And then I'm just using just a general purpose lubricant that I spray on the tap.
Why do you do that?
That keeps the tap sliding into the aluminum or into the base metal, and it also helps keep the aluminum from getting caught up in all the little teeth inside of there. Can you see that?
I don't think so.
Okay. So the first couple rotations make a difference, and you need to try to keep it as square to the surface as possible and give firm pressure. So I grab it, big T handle, and I slowly rotate.
So what you're doing is actually creating the threads on the inside
Correct.
that will accept the bolts.
Yeah, I suppose I should. There's a tap and die set, so this would be a tap, and then there's a die. You could actually take a piece of metal rod like this in any different size, and you could actually run a round version of this with threads on the inside and make a bolt. This makes a bolt hole, or a big nut, so to speak. So I'm threading this guy in. If you want to come up on top of this, you can see. So I'm threading that in, and you can see how they call them chips start building up. Once I get a rotation and a half or so, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to back it out, if you can hear that crunch, and that breaks the chips loose. And then you can thread in a little bit more until it gets firm, and then I back it out. You can hear that, it breaks the chips. And you just slowly work the tap in. And when I work through thick metal like this, I'll do about 2 or 3 of those breaks, and then I'm going to back the entire tap out because there's so much material that you're taking off, it just gets loaded up in there. Clear all this out, wipe my surface off, spray a little more lubricant, and then I'll just hand thread this in to where it stopped before, to make sure that I don't cross thread it. All right. And this is just a square drive, and as you open and close this, it'll accept different size taps. If you want to come on the other side, you can see it actually coming out. This hole actually is outside the mast enclosure.
Lighten up my exposure.
And once you get all the way through, it spins really easy. this guy out. All right, now I'll take this bolt. This happens to be a 6mm bolt with a 1mm thread pitch, and we'll test fit. There we go. You know, make something that we can bolt something down with. So
Just
cool.
Always important.
Yeah, it's
top of
always
your
important,
mast.
especially when you put a very nice lightning prevention system on. You want to make sure that it stays put. All right, off to the next one, and then we can test fit the base plate. Okay, we've got something to tell you guys. We're not from this planet, and we are using this to communicate with the mothership. I'm sorry, that's a
so
really,
weird. That was
really bad joke.
terrible.
All right, so this is a lightning prevention system, not a lightning protection system. It is not a lightning rod. And there is so much cool stuff to tell you about this, and I want to be articulate about it, but for right now, you're just gonna watch me install it, and then here in a minute, I'll explain what it does and why it's so cool. But in the meantime, I'm gonna show you how it goes in. There is a big monster 1-gauge wire that runs all the way up from the base of the mast. So about 60 pounds of wire are inside of here, and the reason there's such a big wire is we want the least amount of resistance possible to do what this magic deal does. Now, I have to mount it. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the mast ready, of course, to go on the boat here in a couple days. And this has to be the highest thing on the mast. So I've got this contraption here with our extension tube and our base plate that I just mounted. And I drilled one hole. I'm now gonna line up and I'm going to drill across this guy, pin it. We're gonna run another bolt this direction, so that will keep this piece square and secure to the top of the mast, because it is very cool, but it is not free and it is not cheap. All right, so I've lined up this hole. I'm now gonna drop my drill bit in to make sure I'm centered on the back side. Now I've got a mark that I can see inside here.
I don't know. I'll be able to see inside it.
I think you will.
Here. Oops, flashlight. I'm trying. Can you see inside there? Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now what I've done is, to make this even more secure, is I've threaded this side of the bolt hole. And so now I'm going to thread this back in with Tef gel, of course, because we love Tef gel.
That's right.
I'm just going to put a little bit so I can provide some friction relief up here. I might have chewed that up a little bit when I drilled through there. I'm going to take the bolt all the way to the bottom side and make sure it's threaded on the other side. Just like that.
Sweet.
Now I only have bolts to go through one side, so I've got to buy a new bolt tomorrow to go the other direction. But in the meantime, we'll do our test fit. What?
That thing is so weird looking.
Isn't it? So I found this a few years ago, and I was gonna put one on the 45 and I was gonna do it, and well, obviously you haven't seen it yet, so I haven't done it.
And then we sold it, so.
And then I sold it. But recently, I contacted the manufacturer and the U.S. distributor of this, and I said, hey, I'd really like to have one of those fancy lightning protection systems that you guys offer. And we got to talking about what it was going on and what have you, and we started talking about the channel and what have you. So this is sponsored. They did send this to me for my review and to put a video out, so teach you guys what it's all about and how it works. And
Now, having said that, why did you want to put it on the boat and want to accept the sponsorship?
so,
Because we don't just sponsor anything.
no.
I mean, it's got to be something that we believe in.
They
so-
did not contact me. I contacted them to actually purchase this unit, and the conversation came out of it that we had decided that they wanted to partner up with us and send us a unit so that we could use it and have the benefits for it, but also, of course, be able to share it with you guys. So we've had one insurance claim before, and that was on our previous boat right after we bought it, where it was an accident in the yard, a boat fell on us. And the deductible was really, really expensive. And since then, we've had friends that have had their boats get hit by lightning, and that is a really expensive process. The deductibles on these boats are $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $8,000, and then it takes a year to chase down the gremlins and to fix. Stuff just tends to break later down the road. So I was looking for something that could really prevent that altogether. And yes, this costs money, but in the scheme of what it costs to deal with a lightning strike, it's a freaking bargain. So I wanted something, because of all the electronics and all the batteries and all the cool stuff we've put on the boat. I don't want to deal with that. And I don't want to lose, 6-12 months worth of cruising just because we're trying.
We've already lost enough.
We've lost enough. And we just have a lot of friends that have had that happen to them, and it's very tragic and it's really unfortunate. Right, so I have my 3 holes drilled. I know there's a lot of marks on here, but basically I've got one through bolt that goes through the top to hold it in place. And this is, a few thou larger than what the actual guide is. So what I've done is I've drilled these 3 holes equidistant around the perimeter, and I'm gonna put a grub screw or a set screw in that looks like that little guy. Can you see it? And that'll hold it centered in there. And to put that grub screw in there, I'm going to use my tap again today. And these are 1/4 I can thread these guys by hand. The metal's really thin, so it's an easy tap to do. So if you look inside, you can see as I thread that in, these screws will pinch against that aluminum shaft and hold it in place to keep it from moving on top of the mast, so we don't get any shake or chafe or anything working loose. And I will be putting a Loctite product on these screws to keep them from moving, and of course keep from any corrosion happening between the stainless and the aluminum tube. Now that I've got this one done, this is the top, I have to do the exact same thing to the post base that's on the mast. Drill through there, I'm gonna put set screws in to bite onto this, because we've got 3 pieces: the base, the riser post, and the actual lightning prevention system. Drilling on a round surface is very difficult, so I'm gonna use a punch to create a little divot.
But this time you're
In the
using
middle.
an actual hammer.
Yeah, but I'm ambidextrous, so I'm using my left-handed hammer with my right hand. All right, so I think that's the right size. I'm gonna open it up with this last big drill bit just to make sure. The one that is the exact size that it's supposed to be, but is a little dull. Look at that. Do you believe in magic?
I do now.
Perfecto. Okay, so now I'm definitely gonna need some 656.
You had to look at the label again.
I did. Probably should have done this while it was on.
Yeah, before you attached it to the mast.
Nobody needs your sass, Kim. Looks like I'm gonna get it anyway.
Well, this is like watching paint dry. You have fun with that. Okay, so you just put in the through bolt.
I did. I just put the through bolt in, and I'm just basically trial fitting this and dry fitting everything right now. And I'm going to make sure everything fits like intended before I tighten anything down or install the wire. Now I know it goes in farther than that. There's some tape on there. You like?
I do.
We might end up swapping these out for shorter grub screws if necessary. And then to hold the riser,
And you said when those go in, you're going to put Loctite on them, right?
yes. Actually, these will go in with Tef gel. No, sorry, Loctite. These will go in with Tef gel
Correct.
because it's stainless to aluminum. This is stainless on stainless, and it's just pushing on the aluminum, so that shouldn't make a difference. All right. As all dads say, that's not going anywhere. All right, I'm happy. I just think that these set screws are too long.
Another trip to Ace Hardware.
I told you there'd be another trip. All right. No, I'm very pleased with that.
Sweet.
Okay, so to make the connection to the lightning prevention system, it's pretty much nothing more than just a big cable. They recommend number 2 as a minimum, but we're running 1 gauge because the more copper that we've got, the less resistance that we have, and the more energy that we can dissipate to get rid of those or prevent the risers from coming up off the top of anything electrical here, and well, allow the system to work like it's supposed to. You can just screw it in, and there's 2 set screws that just smash into the side of the wires, and I'm not really down for that, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a furl on. You're gonna see me use a bunch of these when we get ready to wire the boat, but this is a tinned piece of copper that slides over top of the wires, and when you compress it, it cold welds it all into one piece and allows you to get a better connection, so the set screw doesn't go in and smash all the wires and break all those little wires in there. It's basically screwing down to what it thinks is a solid cable, essentially. So I believe these are the right size, and I'm just going to cut off the insulation on the outside. I've used a very high-tech measuring tool. This drill bit is exact depth of inside the lightning protection. So I'm basically just going to put this here. I'm gonna cut right there at that 7. And be very careful not to cut through the strands, because every strand is precious. If you cut through them, I'm wasting my time running big wire. Okay. Interestingly enough, electricity runs on the outside of the wire. It doesn't run through the core, which a lot of people think that it does, but it actually doesn't. So you see here, this 1 gauge is a bunch of twisted bundles. I believe there is 7 twisted pairs, and I think in each one of these pairs there's got to be like 200 strands or something crazy. So we're gonna, and I know it looks silver, but see the end is copper. So they actually tin the outside of the copper, and that prevents any corrosion or oxidation on the outside, which will affect continuity. Okay.
Oh, look at that.
So once I get one on, then I'll just try to stack them like there. So I'm going to get one more in there just to make sure. I'll be right back. Slide it to the end to hold it all in tight. And as I push the flared end on this one, it should slide right over. And notice there's no wires sticking out anywhere. And on this side, we don't have any broken wires from where the insulation's at.
Nice job.
Thanks, babe. Okay. I'm not gonna lie, this part's a pain in the ass. So this creates what they call a cold weld. So basically just compresses everything until it is, well, basically almost a solid piece. This is a 16-ton hydraulic press that's hand actuated by my musculos. I'm gonna do the end one first, and I kind of put it on my hip like this. You tighten this knob, this closes the piston, and I'm going to come on, baby. I don't know if I got the right die. I think so. And then I open up. I think that's gonna do it. So I'm just gonna crimp these all the way down. All right, I need to make sure that it's gonna fit down inside.
Can I see inside?
Yep. Put some tape on here just for our trial fit process. I'm gonna cut this out so I can get to the set screw. You see all the way in there?
I think so.
Yep.
Okay.
So this is going to go all the way in like this. I've left a little on the bottom that I'm going to put heat shrink on, and then this will get screwed down like so, and it'll be digging into the ferrule instead of digging into the copper, and you can see how that just smashes that down and we get a nice tight connection. Okay, all right. See?
Nice.
Okay. All right, now I know it fits. Put heat shrink on it. We'll move on to the next project.
So you want to make sure that your heat shrink goes down on there, but past where
It comes out.
it,
Yeah.
the screw tightens down, right?
Yeah. And I can't tell you guys how important it is to use good quality wire. If you do good quality wire, you only have to use it once. This is Pacer. Anchor makes good stuff. What you're looking for is UL listed wire, 600 volts, and what you want to see is this rating right here. You see this? It says 105C. That means the insulation is rated for high temperature, so you can run it in engine rooms, you can run it in hot places. It'll take higher temperatures better. And this stranded wire like this is also more expensive, but it's much easier to work with. 1 gauge wire is usually really, really stiff, but if you get something that's stranded like this and it's high quality, it makes all the difference in the world. All right. There is a glue line on the inside of this. You see the glue line come out. So I got a little. There we go. Okay. Now as this goes down on the inside, I've got it pulled out farther so that I can actually attach it, because obviously it needs to slide back in the tube. And I've created a loop in the top of this mast so that when I shove this through, the wire loops around and it doesn't get affected or rub on any of the halyards or anything like that. So we're not gonna get any chafe. And to verify that, I can look through this hole down here where all the rest of the wires run out, and I can see where that, how that loop is situated. You won't be able to see it, unfortunately, with the camera, but I'll try to do it when we install it. So, because I like my lightning prevention, and I don't want to get it stolen, not that anything would happen here, but I'm not going to install it until the mast goes on the boat. All right, that's it. All right, guys, today is the day. I am installing the lightning prevention system on the mast. Now this is actually a super simple installation. All you need to do is run the appropriate size cable, and that will be based on length, on how much distance it's covering, so there's no amperage or current loss or what have you. And once you get the standard size or proper size cable, run, then I am applying, because we're in a marine environment, my favorite tough gel, because this is a stainless grub screw to a aluminum bodied shaft, and I don't want any corrosion or seizing in there that is going to prevent that to come out if I want to service it later. So, like you saw already, I already have the ferrules on here with the heat shrink, and I'm going to feed this in. We're going to tighten this down. Snug at first. Want a nice tight seat. Okay, so now this guy is completely installed as far as mechanically go, or electronically. And then I'm just going to slide this in here and put my grub screws and my bolt through to hold this in place and get it centered on top here. So let me show you how that works. Now this might be overkill, but this is an aluminum tube. The base of the lightning protection is aluminum, and this stainless bolt is going to go through the inside. I am going to just throw a little bit of Tef gel on the outside of this just to prevent any corrosion, contact from the dissimilar metals. And I love it, but it is a mess. All right, so now it looks a little loose in here. That's okay. All right, I'm gonna put a lock nut on the back side. Oh, not yet. I need my grub screws. Where did we hide our grub screws? I bought 2 different sizes of these grub screws, thinking that I had 2 different thickness of tubing, and I wanted to make them as flush as possible. This grub screw is twice as long. I'm gonna temporarily put this longer one in to hold it in place, but I'm gonna come back and replace it this afternoon with a shorter screw. But for right now,
We don't want anything to happen to our lightning prevention system, so.
no. And I'm just putting them inside. And I'm not tightening it down because I want to push it in and get it centered, and then I will slowly tighten all of the 3 opposing grub screws
Evenly.
So now I'm going to take this and hold it in place and just thread this until I feel some resistance. See how it didn't move? Now I've got that, I'm just going to go back around and do little half turns. Until I get a nice tight seat. Okay. Now that is, it's not going anywhere.
Seems to be the common
Sorry.
theme. Oh my gosh.
Now, I do want to tighten this bolt through here. This is just another retaining bolt. And because the tube's just a little bit larger, I'm going to use this force to put a little bit of pressure and create a slight oval on the tube so it's nice and tight. I don't know if you can see that, how it's a little wider right there. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to thread these grub screws in without I'm going to thread these 3 grub screws in without Tef gel on them because I'm going to replace them.
And those are, God, the light is in the way. So those are for the adapter piece or the extension piece that seats
Correct.
into the base plate, yes?
Correct. All right, guys, as always, thanks for watching. We hope you learned something, and I want to thank you guys personally for all the support and encouragement you guys are giving us. We really appreciate sharing all the ups and downs with you. Now, in the meantime, go out there and make some memories, and we'll see you on the next one.